Following Legolas, of course, is Gimli. As a dwarf, Gimli is very proud of his toughness and resilience, so we'll need to be like a bearded Energizer bunny. We also need to consistently dish out big damage. At the Battle of Helm's Deep, he caught up with Legolas from a 15-point deficiency and eventually eclipsed his score, even though Legolas had a bow. We also have to have hidden depths. Much of what we see of Gimli is him hewing orc necks, but what he is much wiser than he lets on, and bears a deep love for jewels and the beautiful things of the earth. Gimli gets the standard array, and our only multi-classing minimum is strength, so we'll start off with it at 15. Gimli is one of, if not the physically strongest of the Fellowship. Dexterity doesn't need to be as high, we'll make it a 12. He's nimble for his size, we just don't need it to be as high for the medium armor to be somewhat effective. The stamina of dwarves is legendary, so we'll make Constitution 40. But he does start off a little bit racist and insular, so we'll make Intelligence a 10. Wisdom can be 13, it's his humility that earns him the friendship of elves and entry into the Undying Lands. And we'll finish it off by dumping Charisma. Gimli is perfectly willing to offer insult if he feels it's necessary, and he can be a little bit abrasive. Gimli is a dwarf of the Lonely Mountain, so as a mountain dwarf we get +2 to both our strength and our constitution. We have 16 feet of dark vision, and despite being a medium creature, we've only got a 25-foot walking speed, though our speed isn't reduced if we're wearing armor that's too heavy for us. We can handle our liquor, as we have resistance to poison damage and advantage on saves against being poisoned, and we get Smith's Tools proficiency for free. Dwarves are the great masons and builders of Middle-earth, so with our stone cunning, we have expertise in history checks, but only about the history and origin of stonework. We do also get a few weapon and armor proficiencies for free, but like Legolas, we'll get all of them from our first class, so we don't really need to get into those. Gimli planned to set Galadriel's hairs into impenetrable crystal, so we'll make him a clan crafter. In addition to jeweler's tools, that'll give us proficiency in history and insight. We'll start off as a fighter, giving us 2 fighter skills like athletics and intimidation. Second Wind heals us for 1d10 plus our fighter level as a bonus action once per rest, and the Great Weapon Fighting style lets us reroll 1s and 2s on the damage dice for our 2-handed weapons. Gimli uses a number of axes throughout the adventure, from hand axes for throwing, a battle axe that can be used two-handed or one-handed alongside a shield, and a great axe that's two-handed only. Action Surge at 2nd level lets us take a second action on our turn once per rest. And at 3rd level, since we're a proud member of a warrior culture, we'll become a samurai. We'll get Persuasion proficiency for free, and 3 times per day we can invoke our fighting spirit as a bonus action. We give ourselves 5 temporary hit points, and all our weapon attacks this turn have advantage. At 4th level, we'll grab Grudge Bearer, digging into the stubbornness and long memories of dwarves to have special enmity toward a certain creature type. We can pick 2 types of humanoids, so elves and orcs seem most in character. Our strength rounds off to 18. We have advantage on attacks against elves and orcs during the first round of combat. Their opportunity attacks against us have disadvantage, and if we make an intelligence check to remember information about them, we have expertise on it, even if we aren't normally proficient. We can attack twice with the attack action with extra attack, and we'll pick up Fell-Handed to get even better with our various axes. We get +1 to attack rolls we make with Hand Axe, Battle Axe, Great Axe, Warhammer, or Maul. When we hit with one of those, and we had advantage on the attack, we can knock the target prone, if the lower roll would have also been a hit. If we have disadvantage and we miss, but the higher roll would have hit, we still deal bludgeoning damage to the target equal to our strength modifier. And if we help an ally attack an enemy who is using a shield, we can bash the shield out of the way, adding +2 to our friend's attack roll, in addition to them attacking with advantage. 7th level samurai are elegant courtiers, giving us proficiency with wisdom saves and adding our wisdom modifier to our persuasion checks. Then we'll grab the brawny feat. Our strength goes up to 19, we can count as 1 size larger for determining our carrying capacity, and we get expertise in athletics. Gimli can bench press 2 wargs and an orc at the same time. He is, as the kids would say, totally yoked. We can reroll 1 failed save every day with Indomitable, and thanks to our tireless spirit, if we ever roll initiative without a use of fighting spirit left, we automatically get 1 use back for free, and the temporary HP we get from using our fighting spirit increases from 5 to 10. Fighters get more attacks than other classes, as their extra attack actually stacks, so at 11th level we can make 3 attacks with every attack action. At 12th level we'll cap off our strength, so each of those attacks hits as hard as we can, and that leaves a point left over though, so we'll start to shore up our bad charisma as well. At 13th level, we can use Indomitable twice per day. Gimli wasn't tempted by the ring at all, and even tried to destroy it the first time he saw it. Can't have all those elves thinking he's a weakling. Then at 14th, we'll round off our wisdom and charisma to 14 and 10 respectively. 15th level samurai get rapid strike. Once per turn, if we had advantage on an attack, we can give up that advantage and attack one target twice instead. So on our fighting spirit turns, we can attack twice with advantage and twice without. We even also get more temporary hit points when we use our fighting spirit at this level, increasing from 10 to 15. We get one more ASI as a fighter to bump our constitution to 18. Then we'll hop over to finish out the build with a few levels of Barbarian. Unarmored defense isn't really relevant, since Gimli does wear armor, but it's nice to have if we ever caught off guard. We can also enter a rage as a bonus action, giving us resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, advantage on strength checks and saves, and extra damage to our strength-based melee attacks. What we're most after is reckless attack. Whenever we attack on our turn, we can choose to attack recklessly, giving all our strength-based melee attacks this turn advantage, in return for giving attacks against us advantage as well. That means we can attack with advantage every turn, turning our rapid strike and fell-handed abilities consistently on. We also have a danger sense, giving us advantage on dexterity saves against effects that we can see, like spells or a dragon's breath. The dwarves learned their lessons from Smog. They aren't letting that happen again. We'll get a skill from the Barbarian list at 3rd level. Perception is the best option there, and will increase our tankiness even further by becoming a totem warrior. We can cast Beast Sense and speak with animals as rituals, but really we just want the bear totem. So when we rage, we'll have resistance to all damage except psychic, which should effectively double our already considerable HP. Speaking of, our capstone is the 4th level of Barbarian for one last ASI, which we'll use to cap off our constitution for maximum dwarf stubbornness. Now that the build is complete, let's take a look and see what we have done. As good as Legolas is at range, Gimli is at melee just off of how consistent he is. We get 3 attacks in a round, and thanks to reckless attack and rapid strike, it's actually 2 with advantage and 2 without. Every attack with advantage can knock an enemy prone, and if we ever have disadvantage, we can still deal damage if we miss. Plus, we can action surge to get 3 more advantage attacks. Usually, using reckless attack that much would be a bit dangerous, but Gimli is also one of the tankiest members of the Fellowship, with an average of around 220 HP and an extra 45 temporary HP per day with Fighting Spirit, not even counting any extra fighting spirits from Tireless Spirit, all of which effectively doubled by the Bear Totem, giving him resistance to all but one damage type. Fun fact! The base benefits of Rage, the advantage on strength checks, extra damage, and resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage don't work while wearing heavy armor, but Bear Totem's resistance does. So we can get all that extra tankiness, and wear heavy armor, and get high AC as well if we really want to. Unfortunately, outside of being a consistent damage dealer and being incredibly hard to kill, he doesn't really have that much to offer. We do have a couple of good skills, but our low charisma and intelligence really hold us back from offering much in that department. We've also got the same lack of magic damage as Legolas, so all we can do to ghosts is blow on them. With the added disadvantage that our best range option is throwing hand axes. That's not terrible, since they're thrown, they still use our strength, and we still get the fell-handed benefit from them, but the range on them is nothing to write home about, so it would almost be better to just walk up and hit the enemy directly.
And what gift would a dwarf ask of the elves?
Nothing. Except to look upon the Lady of the Galadrim one last time. For she is more fair than all the jewels beneath the earth.